Today is video number 3 of my yoga training. So for those of you that have not tuned in yet or that don't know what's going on, I am completing or in the process of completing my 200-hour yoga teacher certification. And in order to receive my certification, I have to do 15 hours of online instruction, and I thought that I would make these videos available to you guys and get your feedback if you have any to offer. So today, this video is focusing on hip alignment, and it's specifically made for beginners. So it's a beginner style class. I'll offer modifications along the way. So a little backstory for this class. I designed it for my partner, Matt. He has some hip alignment issues, and he's very tall, so it can kind of cause some ripple effects throughout his body. And so I made this class specifically for him, and we're going to be working together on his hip alignment, and I'm hoping to share it with you guys as well. So we're going to start with our mat. You just need your mat. If you have any blocks, or if you have like a towel or a pillow or something else you can use in a way to create space, then I would maybe grab that as well. So we're going to start at the back of our mat. I'm going to stand with my feet firmly planted in the mat, spread out all of your toes, find a nice grounded pose. And let's open those palms out into Dasana. From here, let's take a few deep breaths in. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And continue this on your own time. Take 4 breaths in total, inhaling and exhaling. We're trying to build heat in the body. After your 4th breath, we're going to inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale as you swan dive forward, open up the chest, and release the head at the bottom. Maybe give it a shake, yes. Maybe a shake, no. Remember, in our forward fold position, we always want to keep our weight in the balls of the toes and the balls and the balls of the feet. I'm still waking up, can you tell? From here, try not to lock those knees. Just take a slight micro bend in those knees. And let's inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. And go ahead and lock those hands out to a plank. Find a nice strong plank, plug your fingers in. And we're going to flow through our vinyasa, chaturanga push-up all the way down. And upward facing dog. And when you're ready, lift the pelvis, downward facing dog. If it feels good, maybe tread through those feet. And we're going to look forward between our hands and walk our feet or jump them towards your palms. And let's inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. And return the palms back to Tadasana. We're going to flow through 3 more of these sun salutation A's. So on your own time, or you can go with my own breath cues, we're going to inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half rise. Exhale, down. We're going to plant our hands, step those feet back to a plank, and flow through your vinyasa. And lift the pelvis, downward facing dog. Take as much or as little time in each position as you need. Our bodies are all different, and our bodies change on the daily. Just be kind wherever you're at today is totally fine. And let's inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Return the palms back to Tadasana. We're halfway there. If you're going with my cues, we have 2 more to go. And inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Plant those palms, step your feet back to a plank. And chaturanga push-up. And when you're ready, lift the pelvis, downward dog. Remember in your downward dog not to lock your elbows and not to let your ribs splay open like so. Try to keep the core engaged and those ribs closed. And we're going to either step or hop those feet forward. And inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Return back to Tadasana. We have 1 more sun salutation. Inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. And let's inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Go ahead and plant the palms, step the feet back to a plank. And chaturanga push-up. And lift the pelvis. And go ahead and look forward between the hands. Step or hop forward. Let's inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And return the palms back to Tadasana. I'm going to step back a little bit. So we completed our 4 sun salutations. We're going to flow halfway through a 5th one. We're going to stop in our downward dog and continue on from there. So I'm going to step back a little bit, plant those feet firmly in your mat. Inhale those arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward. And give that head a shake, yes. And a shake, no. And inhale, half rise. Exhale, forward fold. Try to reach for the heels and maybe pull your chin a little closer to your knees. Remember, we're not trying to just crunch in. We're trying to lengthen through the spine and actively pull our chin towards our chin towards our shins. And gently release. Walk those hands out and feet back to a plank. And flow through your vinyasa. And when you are ready, lift up to downward dog. And this is where we are going to stay. From here, I'm going to lift my right foot up. Remember to keep those hips square. We're not opening up here. Keep those hips parallel. And now feel free to open up. In our 3-legged dog, you always want to make sure that the shoulders stay square. We're never rotating in our shoulders. Try to keep those shoulders square as you lift up that leg. And bend into that knee. And we're going to pull that knee into your chest and hover before placing that foot down in your mat. From here, make sure that your knee and your ankle are in line, 90-degree angle going from the knee to the ankle. And we're going to lift up. So my back toes are still tucked, if you can see them in these bell bottoms. We're going to lift up those arms if you're comfortable. Maybe you take one arm up, maybe you take both. Maybe you can extend both all the way up into your crescent pose. Remember, we're trying to find square hips. So if you have to bend that back knee, by all means, please do so. We're not necessarily worried about getting all the length yet, as much as we are about getting the proper alignment before we find the length. Take the time to build the heat here. Hold, hold, hold. And now we're going to open up to our warrior two. I'm actually going to flip around so that you're not just seeing my backside. We're going to turn our toes out. From here, you're still sinking into that front knee, nice 90-degree angle. And from here, gaze is over your front fingers. Like you're shooting lasers out through those fingers. You're just watching where they're going. And if you would like to, you can go into your reverse warrior two, flip that palm, gently reverse back. This feels good. It's a nice side stretch. And windmill those arms all the way down. We're going to a side angle pose. You can rest your elbow on your shin. You can take that hand all the way down. If you have a block, you can also use your block to create that space. Maybe if you can't get your hand all the way down, but you want a deeper stretch, this is the space for you. Whatever you need. We're still trying to sink into that front hip. We're trying to keep that back leg reaching in the space. And from here, we're going to keep that back foot turned out. I'm going to windmill my hands to the back of me. They're going to interlock, and we're going into our humble warriors. So from here, you press back with your arms. We're going to sink into that front knee, and those arms just stretch up and over. You create a nice little shelf for your torso here with your leg. And gently release those hands down. We're going to step that foot back into your downward dog and tread through those heels. And getting ready for that left side, plug those hands in. Let me switch sides again. That left leg is going to lift up now. Find a nice parallel hip here. Remember, in our three-legged dog, don't spiral in that upper body. Keep it square as you open up that hip. And bend in that knee. And we're going to pull that knee into our center and hover there before you put that foot down. And again, find that nice 90-degree angle here. We're going up into our crescent pose or our high lunge. Go ahead and lift up. We're trying to find squareness in the hips, so if you need to bend that back knee to do so, before you extend it, please do so by all means. We're building fire. Make sure you're breathing. And now go ahead and open up that back leg, open up those arms, finding your warrior two. Again, we're sinking into that front leg. That back hip is sending energy all the way from your hip to the floor. Gazes over that front finger, those front fingers. If you would like, you can go into your reverse warrior. Gently slide that hand down your leg. Feel that nice stretch in that left side body. And gently bring it up. we're going to bring those hands back to our side angle. Again, wherever you are at today is fine. I'm going to use a block. And reach that arm up towards the ceiling. Again, we're sinking into that left hip. That left hip should be plugged into your pelvis. And from here, I'm going to bring my arms around behind my back. I'm going to press out with my fist and sink back into that left hip, going to my humble warrior. Maybe tuck that chin, get an extra stretch here. And when you're ready, lower those hands down, step that foot back into your downward dog. And you can continue to flow through your vinyasa. What we're going to do is we're going to roll out to a plank first, and then we're going to roll back. So we're rippling through each vertebra, one at a time, nice and slow. This should feel good. It should feel like a massage on your spine. And let's do about 3 more. Find a way to time this with your breathing. Maybe you inhale as you ripple out, and exhale as you ripple back. Try one more. Inhale, ripple out. Exhale, ripple back. And ripple out last time. We're going to stay here as we lower all the way down to the ground. And push up into your cobra. The legs can remain on the ground here. Wherever you are at in your cobra today is fine. Remember, as long as we're not sinking into our shoulders, we're not drooping our head forwards or backwards. We're active here. You can also lower down to your Sphinx pose if that's a little too much on your back today. Whatever feels good. This is your class. You decide what is best. Beautiful. And go ahead and lower all the way back down. From here, I'm going to scoot back a little bit. My arms are going to extend out to a T position. And I'm going to lift my left leg up, and I'm going to cross it over my body as much as you can go. Really feel this nice spiral all the way down to your foot, from your shoulder to your foot. And gently release that stretch. We're going to go up and over that opposite direction, up and over. Really trying to stretch from your fingertips on that left side all the way down to your foot on the right. It's a nice spiral motion. Should feel good. And gently bring it back through. From here, we're going to just press back to a child's pose. If you would like to take your knees wider or if you'd like to bring them together, totally up to you. Whatever feels good for your child's pose today, and sink your belly down towards the ground. And from here, we're going to take one hand, we're going to thread it underneath your shoulder that is planted, and take a little twist, thread the needle, maybe keep that forehead down. And bring it back through. Now let's take that other side, thread the needle. forehead stays down. And bring it back through. I'm going to bring it all the way up to my tabletop position. So again, my heels of my hands are right under my shoulders and my knees are right underneath my hips. In this position, we're going to take 8 cat and cows. We're going to take 8 cat and cows this way, and then we're going to go laterally, taking our top of our head to our tailbone in each direction. So this is just a side-to-side movement. It's not also rotating your spine. It's literally just bending side to side. I don't know what this is. Like this, head, tailbone, side to side. So we'll start with those cat and cows. Plant all of your hands in the mat. Press away as we inhale, lifting into our arch for our cat. Exhale to your cow, and you can go at your own pace for this. Inhaling and exhaling. And I think we're about halfway there. We have about 4 more on your own time. And 2 more. So this is really just to get the spine nice and mobile. A lot of times, an uneven hip can cause some issues in our spine. Go ahead and find a nice neutral spine now. So from here, we're not arching or drooping in our spine. We're literally keeping a nice flat back as we reach our tailbone towards our head each direction. We'll do 8 in each direction. And time your breath. Notice you might not have a huge range of motion here, and that's okay. We're going to work with what we've got today. I think we're about halfway there. 4 more in each direction. Remember to keep those hands plugged in. Almost there. Last one. And bring it back through center. If you would like, you can sink into a child's pose once more. Just allow those shoulders to relax. I know that can be a little shoulder heavy right there. All right, go ahead and bring it back up to your tabletop for me. From here, we're going to work on our bird dogs. So we're going to plant opposite hand from opposite knee. For instance, I'm going to reach my right hand and my left leg away from one another. So opposites reach away. Try to keep your spine from arching. We're not doing that. We're trying to keep a nice neutral spine. And lower back down. Opposite side, find balance in the middle, and lower back down. We're going to do about 7 more on each side. Time your breath with this. Find a nice balance in the middle. Remember that our neck is also a part of our spine, so don't look where we're going. Try to keep your neck in line with your spine this entire time. All right, we're a little more than halfway there. And 2 more. Last one. Beautiful. From here, I'm going to rotate to face you. We're going to open our left leg out to the side. The foot should be planted in your mat, or as close as you can get it. You can also flex the foot. But we're opening the hips up, so we're not parallel. That foot's not rolling in. It's opening up. We're going to our gate opener pose. So from here, my right hand steps out to the side, and my left arm reaches up and over for a nice continuous line from my fingertips all the way down to my toes. This should feel good. Really relish in this stretch here, especially after all that shoulder work we just did. 2 more breaths. And now we're going to lift that left leg. Reach the fingertips and the toes away from one another as you lift that leg off the mat. Cover for 2 breaths. And lower down. Go ahead and lower that hand. We're going to just sink back into that right knee. Keep that left leg open to the side, and maybe reach those hands forward. Today's a struggle. Forward for a deep stretch. And gently bring it on up. We're going to switch sides. However you need to switch out those legs, by all means, please do so. Again, we're opening up that right leg. Left hip is pointing directly forward. And we're going to walk that left hand out. Reach that right arm up and over for a nice line from the fingertips down to your toes. Again, really feel this stretch, especially in your side body. Sometimes we neglect to stretch out the side of our body. And that can definitely affect the hips. Two more breaths here. And now we're going to reach our fingers and our toes away from one another. Lift that right leg off the mat and hold for 2 breaths. Lower down when you're ready. Circle that leg all the way back around, and we're going to go into that stretch so you can sink onto your knee. You can also find a more comfortable variation. Maybe you don't have that heel directly underneath you. You can bring it out in front of you. Wherever is comfortable for you to walk those hands forward for a deep stretch. And go ahead and bring it all the way back up. I'm going to have a seat on my mat facing you guys. So we just did plenty of toning or conditioning work, if you will. When it comes to hip stabilization and, everything really is connected to our hips. Our lower portion is connected to our upper portion by our hips and vice versa. So taking care of our hips is super important. It's very crucial to any kind of training or any kind of body health. If our hips are out of line, like I said, it can cause a ripple effect either through the upper body, maybe by twisting the spine. It can also cause a ripple effect in the lower body, maybe by causing one leg to lift up a little higher, making it seem as if you have one leg that's longer than the other. So we want to make sure that we're completely balanced, that our hips are not all wonky, that they're not pulling one way or another. So we're just going to continue stretching while I talk more. But we're going to go into our fire logs pose. So whatever leg you start with on top is fine, but you want to take your ankle to your knee. We're not crossing it over. We're not letting it sink and sickle inside, we're taking it to your knee joint. And underneath, you also want to make sure that that ankle is lining up with that knee. So your legs should be completely parallel. Whatever angle they're at is fine. If they're a little bit greater than mine, that's totally fine. Again, we all have different bodies, and our bodies change on the daily. So wherever your body is at today is totally fine. We're going to work with it. Sit up nice and tall, and we're going to sink forward as far as you can today. I cannot get very far. This is what I got, and that's totally fine. I'll accept what I'm working with. So going back to our talk, with our hip alignment, a lot of times what happens is if our core is not stable enough, it's not strong enough to support the rest of our body, that can cause some issues in your hips as well. So if you have a weak core, for whatever reason, then it can definitely cause like an anterior tilt, a posterior tilt. It can cause some rotation to happen. And that tends to create more problems. Obviously, it creates more bad than good. So we're trying to do a little bit of strengthening today as well as stretching to sort of reset our hip position and remind them where they should be in the space. And let's take 2 more deep breaths here. With each exhale, try to sink a little lower into the stretch. Last one, inhale. And exhale, sink a little lower. And when you are ready, gently bring it on up. I'm going to carefully release my legs. Maybe take a little shimmy through the legs and either side before we switch to that other side. I know it's really intense in here in the hips. But this is such a great pose for everything we just talked about, resetting the hip position. So again, just find that alignment of the knee with the ankle on either side. Make sure they're parallel. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, sink forward as much as you can. Maybe notice that one side might be a little different from the other. You might have one side that's tighter. And that's also quite normal. We tend to use the stronger side of our body to help the less strong side of our body. And what I mean by that is if you are right-handed, you might be predominantly right at doing everything. Let's say carrying your purse or carrying your briefcase, or if you are driving a stick shift, you know, you might be more right-hand dominant. And for my lefties trying to drive stick, I'm very sorry. So we tend to be a very right side heavy society. And so a lot of times our right side of our body can take a hit and it can cause some incongruencies in our hips especially. Let's take 2 deep breaths. Inhale. On exhale, try to sink a little further forward if you can. One more inhale. Exhale, try to sink a little further forward. And gently walk those hands back, shake out those legs. Woo. All right. So what we are going to do next is go into our butterfly pose. I'm going to bring the bottoms of my feet together. And whatever angle your knees are at, again, is totally fine. We're not going to be doing any pushing down on the knees because it's all up to gravity. Your body is going to naturally release when we find the comfortability and the ability to let our body relax in this position. So we're going to just sit up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale, I want you to take a nice flat back forward. Nose goes straight to your knees. Don't arch in the back until you really, really have to. Reach as far as you can. And then you can fold forward, roll in the back. And go ahead and ground through your pelvis. Slowly roll all the way up to standing. And again, we're going to inhale. Exhale, flat back nose reaches straight forward, forward, forward. Until you have no choice but to round in your spine. And ground in your pelvis. Slowly roll all the way up. And now we're going to reverse that motion. So we're going to ground in our pelvis, roll back, and we're going to start with a roll through. Rolling out, out, out to a flat back. And then we're going to bring it all the way up through a flat back. One more time, roll, tuck the pelvis, curve in the spine, roll through, and flat back all the way up. Beautiful. So now what I'm going to do, you have the option of either just reaching those hands straight forward. Again, we're not just slouching here in this position. We're actively reaching with the top of our head out and away. You can reach those hands forward, or if you want to take it up a notch, you can always go into your turtle pose by threading your hands underneath your knees and using that leverage to pull yourself forward deeper into this butterfly stretch. Again, wherever you are at, remember that you're reaching your head out and away from your tailbone. And gently release from this position. We're going to stay here with our feet together. I'm just going to take a little twist over to the right, and I'm going to fold forward, 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 flat back until I have no choice but to round, nose to knee on that right side. And we're going to continue moving, so plant that right elbow in your mat. Left arm's just going to reach up and over. And if you feel your left hip kind of popping up, this is a time where you can give a little encouragement by shoving a little weight into your thigh, reminding that hip to stay down. But try to reach that left arm up as much as you can, just feeling the stretch in your body. And we're going to round back over to that right knee. And we're going to tuck our pelvis and roll all the way up to seated. Go ahead and rotate over to that left side. Again, sit up nice and tall, and we're going to reach the crown of the head out, 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 and away before you have no choice but to round. So this one, for me, is really intense because you're also getting a tiny, tiny spiral through that side of your body here. It feels really good. And plant that left elbow, right arm reaches up and over for a nice side stretch. Again, if that hip is popping up, try to encourage it to stay down in your mat. And bring it all the way back up. We're going to extend our legs out to a straddle. So from here, you always want to make sure that your knees and your hips are rotating backwards and at a diagonal. They're not sinking forwards. It kind of hurts me to even demonstrate. So they're not rolling forward and inwards. They should actively be rotating out from the hip. So the rest of that leg is going to follow whatever rotation the hip is doing. Just keep that in mind as we're in this position. We're going to sit up nice and tall. Inhale and exhale. Walk those hands forward, forward, forward as much as you can. Feeling a nice stretch here. Again, maybe take a little look at your feet. If they're rolling inwards, maybe you need to do a slight adjustment. Maybe you need to not go out as far so you can keep that rotation happening backwards. What we're going to do, I'm going to grab a block just because my floor is a little dirty, a little covered in dog hair, and I don't want to put my face on it. So I'm going to grab a block just for my sake and for my face's sake, but we're going to reach our hands out as much as we can, whatever angle you're at. If you're up here, just try to reach your hands for your toes. If you're here, you can't even reach, that's totally fine. You can also use bands. If you have a strap, if you have TheraBands, whatever you have, you can wrap one around each foot, and just give a little tug just to get a deeper stretch. But if you have the mobility to do a full stretch forward, then by all means, please do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my forehead on the block. I'm going to reach for the insides of my feet. So my forehead goes down, I reach for my feet. It's just a deeper stretch here. And when you're ready, release and bring yourself all the way up to seated. I'm going to flip over and face, I'm going to go this way. So from here, we're going to bend our left knee. I'm going to keep my right leg directly forward. It's not opening out to the side, it's still forward. And I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Inhale, exhale as I reach forward with my head just folding over that leg. And bring it on up. We're going to switch out those legs. One comes in, one goes out. Again, sit up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale as you fold forward. Reach the crown of the head away from your tailbone. And bring it on up. From here, I'm going to scoot forward and I'm going to lay down onto my back. We are going to do some gentle stretches here. Before we do, I'm just going to have us do 4 bridges. So again, we're planting our feet flat in that mat. We are making sure that our feet are not wider than our hips. And what I mean by hips is our hip bones, not where the flesh of your hips ends, but where your hip bones are. That is your hip width, and that's where you need to line your feet up. If they're too wide or too narrow, your knees are going to scream at you. If they're screaming, make an adjustment here. So my hands are going to plant in my mat, and we're going to just sequentially roll up, starting by tucking the pelvis and rolling all the way up. Inhale, and exhale, tuck the chest of that thing and roll all the way down. And again, inhale all the way up, go at your own speed. Exhale all the way down. 2 more, inhale, roll all the way up. Exhale, roll all the way down. Last one, inhale all the way up. And exhale all the way down. Go ahead and shake out those legs. From here, I'm going to have you bring that right leg up and cross it over the left. I'm going to drop that right foot down to the ground, just getting a nice spiral through the body here. So this could be compared to that earlier spiral roller where our hands were in a T position on the ground. Just feel that nice stretch. And bring it all the way back through the middle. I'm going to bring that left foot off the mat and grab behind my knee. If you would like, you can give an extra pull in towards your center. Use that elbow to give that leg some leverage. And lower that foot all the way back down. we're going to extend that right leg towards the ceiling and that left leg towards the ground. From here, as straight as you can get that leg is where we want it to go. If you can get it all the way straight, then by all means, please do so. We are going to just take a few bends here. So we're going to bend in that knee. Try and pull that hip in towards your center. And as you extend, I want you to try and extend a little bit further from where you started. Even if it's very minor, that's okay. And now we're going to push our leg into our hands. So actively push your leg into your hand. Push, push, push. 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. And feel that release in the leg as well. One more time. Bend in that knee. Feel that hip release a little bit here. And extend. Try to extend a little bit further than where you just were. And now we're going to actively push that leg into your hand like you're trying to lower that leg down to the ground. Push, push, push for 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Feel some more release in that leg. Whew, my leg is starting to shake. And I'm going to gently lower that leg, maybe give it a shake. And let's switch to that other side. Go ahead and cross that leg on top. First thing we're going to do is drop that foot, get a nice spiral through the hip. And bring it back through center. Again, we're going to bring that knee up and in. Try to interlace those hands behind that knee. Maybe give a tug towards your center and use that elbow to open that hip out to the side. And gently lower that foot down. We're going to take this left leg up towards the ceiling, extend both legs, and go ahead and grab wherever you can on this leg. We're going to start with a bend. Bend in that knee, gently pull that hip back. And as you extend, try to extend a little bit lower from where you were just at. And now we're going to press with all of our leg strength into that hand. Press forward. Keep going, keep going. 4, 3, keep pushing. 2, and 1. Release. Beautiful. We're going to do this once more. Go ahead and bend in that knee. Feel the release here in that hip. And extend from where you are. And one more time, push into that hand. Push, push, push away. Keep going. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And beautiful. Go ahead and lower that leg down. Give it a shake. Give both legs a shake. The last thing we'll do here today is our happy baby before Shavasana. So grab for the outer sides of the feet and just open those legs out to the side. This is a great stretch for opening of the hips. Maybe take a little rock side to side. Beautiful. And gently bring those knees into your center. Maybe give a little rock side to side here. And now we're going to just take those legs. I'm going to cross my right leg over my left. And I'm going to take a tiny spiral just to counteract all those other spirals that we did today. One last spiral. Maybe open that right arm out in opposition. And gently bring it back through center. Let's switch out those feet. One comes in, one goes out. And take that leg up and over. Maybe open up that left arm. And bring that leg back through center. Go ahead and settle into your Shavasana. We're going to extend both legs straight. And maybe rest those hands on your belly. Maybe rest those palms up facing the ceiling, wherever you are comfortable to get settled in here. And once you are there, let's tune back into our breathing. We may have forgotten to do so at some point. Just noticing your inhale. Is it in your nose? Is it coming through your mouth? Where is your exhale coming through? Is it your mouth? Is it your nose? Just taking note of these things. While you are here, if your mind is starting to wander, try to gently pull it back. I would like to mention that I am currently practicing the yamas and niyamas of yoga, which are basically the guidelines or the 10 guiding rules of yoga and living a more ethical and sustainable lifestyle. And the progress, or the chapter I should say, that I'm in, the progress that I'm trying to make in regards to nonviolence. And nonviolence could be towards ourselves. It could be towards another person. It could be towards anything. So anytime you feel any negative thoughts towards yourself and you start to pick yourself apart, that's showing violence towards yourself. And I'm definitely working on this. I'm definitely trying to make progress, and I invite you to join me on doing so as well. So in regards to our practice, I just want you to take any of those negative thoughts you had about yourself today, whether it's because you were shaking, whether it's because you couldn't hold something for very long, or because you're not that flexible yet. I want you to take any of those negative thoughts that are lingering in your head from the practice, and I want you to envision wrapping them up. Just wrap them up in a tight ball. Maybe you can think about wadding up a piece of paper. Maybe that piece of paper has these thoughts and these negative words and connotations written down on it. Just crumple it up in your mind's eye. And I want you to throw it away. I want you to get rid of that burden, get rid of that violence towards yourself. Or if you have any of those thoughts about another person, I want you to do the same. And moving on from here on out, I would like you to try and practice this daily with me. Go ahead and gently open the eyes, finding a soft focus. And when you are ready, we're going to carefully start to wake the body up, maybe taking movement in the legs, maybe movement in the upper body. And this movement can just start to bring you on up to a seated position. However you need to get up. And we will end our practice there. I thank you very much for taking the time to do this practice with me and to allow me to practice on you. Namaste. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take this practice of nonviolence and try to practice it in your daily lives towards yourself, towards other people, and also take care of your body. Take care of your hips especially. I thank you again and have a wonderful week.